Okay, look who I got on the show today, you guys. I bet a lot of y'all don't even know this lady, but we've been trying to get together for about 7, 8 months now. And she said, send me a text saying, thank you for being so persistent, but I couldn't have the show without her being on it here. So, hey, can I call you Shea?
You can. You can call
All
me
right,
Shea.
Shea from Overtime, girl. How is it going out there in the ATL?
It's going amazing. It was definitely an exhausting season, but well energy spent. Basically, it was a labor of love, and we're just so excited to be on the other end of season 2 of Overtime Select. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, I'm happy to get you on, man. Another WOC that I had to get on. Let's jump right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about some. I want everybody to know that you was a hooper. Give me a little bit about your hoop, and then we're gonna move on because all the kids don't know that you was a hooper.
Yeah, so I played basketball at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh, and hold on, let me move. I played basketball at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh, and I grew up in San Diego, California, though. I played basketball all my life. My brother, really, I played basketball for my mom because I wanted my mom to have a daycare. And I knew that she couldn't afford daycare, so basketball is the cheapest daycare you can get because you got people watching your kids, helping your kids grow, play basketball. So I lived in the basketball gym, me and my little brother, and then I played basketball at Robert Morris University. And then I went on to say, I'm not a pro, don't want to be a pro. I want to shape human beings' lives because I love people. Through my whole life in school, I used to eat with people that didn't have friends, and that just made my day. I used to go around the school trying to find people who had horrible days and try to make their days better. So I realized basketball is not it for me. Human connection and just people relations, athlete relations, human relations, whatever it is, that's my thing. So
that's what attracted me to you when I first met you. I was like, oh man, I'm vibing with her. I gotta get on the team. Can I put me in the game, coach? Put me in the game. So I had to meet you and I had to get with you. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do what I do without getting her on the show. Let's talk about this. How did let's talk about the 76ers. Did that shape you? Did that shape you for what you're doing today?
I think it's hard to say it shaped me. It definitely gave me a lens and a POV that I didn't have before I was in the league. Mm-hmm. But I will say it gave me more confidence in myself that I could actually get a job in the league because that is something that all the young boy basketball players want to play and be a part of the NBA or the A or what they used to call it. And then being able to be a part of the team that goes after players, just covets them in free agency and tries to understand how to create a team, a championship team at that, and having players come through like Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and TJ McConnell and putting all the pieces together, different personalities, and kind of just understanding what it's like to exist in a team, to have a common goal. So I kind of got to see like the ins and outs, the challenges, the rewards of all of that. And so you think there's a guru that's going to help you out, right before you get to the NBA. You're like, when I go there, there's going to be like, he's going to teach me or she's going to teach me. And really, there is no teacher because everyone's trying to figure it out.
You didn't have a mentor? Level.
I did not have a mentor. No, I did not have a mentor. I became my own mentor and realized that I was the expert in human connection. Mm-hmm. And so just through understanding and listening to my own background voice, my own song playing in the background, and my love for people, I kind of was able to shape my own career, but also, tap into, what drives athletes, elite athletes, and kind of take that to another level, scale it, and kind of create frameworks to help other people. So repeatable steps and action items to become a pro, but also, lead into what I call your second life or your pro life.
Right. Well, you already got one of my questions. I might as well roll. I had them scripted, but I'm going to just jump off script. We talked about mentorship. In the space that you're in, do you think it's important for WOCs to mentor in your space? Because there's not a lot of WOCs in that space. And people who listen to the show, WOCs, women of color, Joni Taylor at A&M tried to tell y'all what WOC meant. So I'm going to give it to you guys.
They should know what it is.
Women of color. Being in that space, Shea, now, do you think it's important to mentor? You didn't have one, so it's probably like, but
I think it's less of mentorship and more of storytelling. Mm-hmm. I need to know what you've been through in order to see myself in that story. in order
Wow.
to understand how to self-actualize,
That's deep.
right? And so understanding the action steps that you took, or maybe the challenges that kind of shaped you, and even though it hurt you, maybe how it built you, so that I can see that in myself. And so mentorship is great, but sometimes mentorship can be exhausting for people,
Oh,
because they're
it's a
already
commitment.
yeah. And like you said, if you're a WOC, you're already exhausted from fighting the unforeseen battles and things like that. The silent battles, maybe the microaggressions that happen, or people underestimating you. So it's more of, how can I understand what you've been through, what you've overcome, what you're looking to do, how does your brain work, what is your family structure like, so that way I
Yeah.
can understand myself more, and then I can tell you what I did and how it worked for me, and then you can take what you need. So
Well,
yes, mentorship, but also really more about your story.
well, it takes time to know a story. Obviously, you ran through a lot of stuff real quick, so it takes time to get to know that story. So, if it was a young WOC want to get into space, what would you say in your space? Because this is new.
Um,
What you're doing is new and innovative.
yes, and I think, I can't say that being a WOC, or if that's how you're identifying me, I don't even really know. I don't ever really look at it that way. But if you're trying to break into the space, I really understood what my superpower was. And my superpower was my ability to connect deeply with other human beings. And though people kept saying business is this and that, I knew that without, like, people build the business. So if people are not felt, if they're not seen, if they're not heard, if you don't understand what they're trying to get done and vice versa, then the needle will not move. And so understanding how to connect the dots between, like, somebody I don't agree with, or somebody I don't connect with, but just trying to find out what happened to them, what they've been through, and then find a common thread. And
Yeah.
then let's get that common thread and say, what are you trying to do? How can I match that with my skill set? And that's business. That is how you grow something. That is how you scale. It's built on people. And so I would try to figure out what is your common thread to the sports industry, so that you can enter through that specific your market value. And I was able to kind of communicate that value over time. It was, again, about storytelling, what I've been through. I
Yeah.
had brothers who played basketball. I was very protective of them, and because I was protective of them, I went through every step on the athlete's journey to get them where they needed to go. And so therefore that became my lived experience, that became my knowledge, and I use that as leverage to help other athletes do the same thing. And you think about it, year over year, 20 plus years, you've got your different athletes who have been in the NBA, who've won championships in college, and I've had a little small part of their journey, of their story, to add to mine. And so each time that happens, and the world changes, the sports industry changes, I'm right there every single time.
Okay.
Um, so that's kind of how I would say, it's like, you have to shape your own story by saying yes, showing up, going to events, being memorable, telling stories, just connecting with people just to connect, not to get a job. And then by you telling your
Right.
story, somebody's going to be like, oh my God, you're really dope. You're really cool. You should meet this person. You should meet that person. And through telling your story and them connecting you with other people, will lead you to a path that maybe you didn't realize that is your passion. So it's kind of how
Yeah.
I've done it.
Well, I tell you, like I said, you're so innovative with this. And when I first met you, there was no way I wasn't going to bug you to death to come
Aw,
on the show,
and
or
I
even just to
appreciate
get
it.
to know you and be a part of the process, and not having a hidden agenda behind it. I just felt the energy that you was bringing. And I was like, man, I got to get with her. So
I
that's
so
why I was
appreciate.
paging you and
I
sweating
love
you
it.
all the time,
Thank you. Thank you.
saying, girl, I got to get with you. So
Thank
let's
you.
talk about overtime.
Yeah.
And I know what's your role with overtime. And I'm gonna tell you this before we even get into it. Every top player that I interview and talk about overtime, Auntie Shay, I love Auntie Shay. I was like, okay, and I was like, you know what? I love her too. Her energy, her vibe is just on point. So your role with overtime. Let's
Yeah.
let's start with a little bit of that.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Giselle Banks, Gigi, aka Gigi. She named me Auntie Shay. And that's kind of how it starts, really. So I am somebody who is deeply invested in the journey map of how a human being progresses in life. It just happens to be through the lens of basketball. So I love to watch middle school games. I love to see the big shorts and the big jerseys hanging off of them. And year over year, it gets a little bit more fitted, it gets a little bit more stylistic, maybe some pink hair, maybe some braids, maybe they cut their hair. I just like to see the evolution of people and humans, and I get to see that in basketball all the time,
Oh
so it's
my
pretty
God,
cool.
I did it again.
That's okay. It's
This
a
show is
alarm.
live. We're live.
That's
Go
the
ahead. No,
beauty of
no.
a live show.
Yeah, we're live. I told everybody it's
Yeah.
transparent, and it's gonna be transparent.
Oh yeah, this is.
Autumn did that to me last week. She let her phone ring and mine ring, and she said, "Coach, it's live. Don't worry about it."
It's live. Um, so through understanding how young people, I'll say young people because I started on the men's side. Well, I started on girls and men's, but really I started the men's side at Overtime. Then we built
Uh-huh.
Overtime Select, after the pandemic. Um, but just young people in general understanding each year over year, like the data and what it needs to help build an elite athlete, like what environment they need, how much fuel they need, how much sleep they need, how much they need to travel, how much they need to be away from adults, how much they need adults to intervene and hold them accountable and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the entire 360, life cycle of a human being, especially a human being inside of a system, an athlete. And so my role has evolved over time. I've been like a cross-functional employee, but now you can say I scout and recruit all the girls with my partner, Joe Fenelon. Shout out to Joe. Um,
Joe, hit me up,
Joe,
Joe. New York
Joe,
Joe. He was one of my first guests on the show.
NYG Hoops. That's my guy. So
Yes,
we not
sir.
only talk about basketball, but we talk about life, and we argue and argue and argue the most healthy way of why this player should be a part of the platform, what she's going to grow into. Is she good for the camera? Does she understand this, big lights platform? And, will the parents be able to accept this and that and roles and moving people around and,
Yeah.
putting personalities with personalities and seeing the magic happen, making mistakes and putting all the Texas girls on one team and thinking that was going to be like a cool thing. And it actually was not. Knowing that we didn't realize that Texas had beef. So just understanding that sometimes girls from all different parts of the world would like to be with other people that are not like them so that they can evolve, so that they can understand how other people live across the globe, how they tie up their shoes, what they like to wear, how they like to, wear the high shorts or the rolled up shorts or the low shorts, whatever it is. Everybody's taking a little bit of everybody. So I would say my role at Overtime is ever growing, evergreen. Whatever it requires, whatever the company needs in terms of trying to scale, our elite talent in our leagues. I'm kind of ready to do it, and I also know what we provide to the girls is transformational. So I always think it's praise until the end of time. So
Yeah.
yeah, Overtime Select has been able like a mosh posh of all that.
Well, let's talk about the partnerships because Overtime is doing partnership development, and I know that's a part of your role. I did my
Yeah,
homework.
yeah.
You do a little partnership development, and let's touch bases on that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say like one of the partnerships that I was extremely involved in and just like super excited about because it was like right before like the beauty brands became a part of girls basketball or women's basketball. Obviously, you see Sephora, in other leagues, but we ended up getting Elf, which is so great for our demographic and our Gen Z audience, and their price point is great. It's affordable. They're a great partner, and it's just one of those things where you start to see the different through lines between beauty and sport and girls and femininity and all of those things. And so, yeah, just pitching brands and telling them the origin story, letting them know like how we started, how we're thinking about it, showing them the different athletes that have grown on the platform since we started, from the Paige Beckers to the Zaya Cooks and Rakia Jackson.
Juju,
Juju and Flage, and the list goes on
everybody. I
about
had it.
how they,
Woo!
right, they've grown up on the platform and how they are catalysts for ways to live, right?
Right.
And beauty brands doesn't always mean you have to be glammed up, but it means you're camera ready. It means you're ready to be a brand. You're ready to just exist in your own way and use these different products how you see fit, right? It's not the
Yeah.
way everyone's telling you to use them, but just understanding that, like, oh, I didn't realize girls basketball use lip gloss, or I didn't know they needed to, get a little makeup done before they go on camera. So just merging those two worlds has been extremely amazing. And, working with brands like Elf, Invisalign,
Yes.
Gatorade, State Farm, the list goes on of the amazing brand partners that we've had. And we're just really excited just to keep growing and to keep showing them how amazing these athletes are. And by the time they get to the WNBA and beyond, The stories will be so vast and so amazing. They'll be at, the US Open, sitting in boxes, with those partnerships that they built all the way from high school. So yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I also did some research on, what some of the things you do is bridging athletes and business. That
Yeah.
it's a part of the game where so many people don't, or parents don't understand how to go about that and taking advantage of their platform and leverage when they have it. And when I
Yeah.
saw that that was one of the things that you did, I want to say, oh, I got to have her touch bases on that.
Yeah, I mean, really, marketing is just storytelling. It is literally starting from the beginning of who you are, what you believe in, how you connect with the outside world, and understanding that everything you do online, people are watching, and it is a part of your brand. It is who you are. Just like you said, you've been doing your research. You kind of know some of the things that I am involved with, and that's how I've been able to build my brand as well. Is just through being genuinely authentic, connected to the things that I love, which are people, sports,
Oh yeah.
conversation. But my thing is just understanding that, like, no matter who you are, there's a space for you to carve out. And I think that families should not look at other people and compare themselves to other people.
Yes.
Everybody has a unique value proposition in the marketplace, and they need to find that, whether it's through your family, how many siblings play basketball, where they play basketball, if there's some in college, if there's some in pro. Just getting all that stuff out there on the platform, that way everybody can grab it if they're looking for a specific thing. Oh my god, and there's a bee coming around. This is
It's a
live.
live show, y'all. This is live.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things where you have to tell your own story in order for someone else to tell your story. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And the
Well,
more that you're able to post genuinely and authentically, then people like myself who are looking at players and recruiting and all those things, I'm matching it with what we're trying to do as a business.
Well, I tell you, when you hit that, you said some magical words to me that I base mine on what I'm doing with the Girl Dad podcast is authentic. And when you keep saying that word, and that's
Yeah.
what one of the things that I want to be. And I think that the way Overtime is going about this, being authentic, it's contagious. It's contagious. And I know a lot of people come at you wanting to get involved with that. So, let's talk about this modern recruiting shift. And I know you've been recruited, but how do you feel about this new shift to how to recruit, marketing, branding, and how all that ties into recruiting?
I think it depends on which lens you're asking. Are you a college coach? Are you a media company? What are you? Because it changes whichever platform that you're offering
How about as
to.
a parent or a girl dad? Because that's who watches our show a lot. And coaches. I've had some coaches on here.
Yeah, I think my thing is what people fail to realize is that yes, NIL is a part of recruiting, but NIL is a short-lived experience if the human experience or the environment in which the athlete exists in is not understanding who they are. If it can't
Right.
hold it, you have to be able to hold the personality. There are athletes who come from Canada and the UK and other places, and it's a cultural difference. So what are you doing when you recruit athletes who are not from America, and have different ways that they've lived? How are you integrating all the things that we do in the US and all the things that other people do across the countries? And just kind of understanding like who these people are, really getting to know them, doing your homework like you did, like you're saying on this show. I think them understanding that you've thought about them before they got there and it's not just thrown together. And, let's say like if I'm recruiting a girl and I've watched them through seventh grade, I talk about the evolution. I remember when you did this. I remember when you used to wear the two braids or the puff ball. And then they're like, what? You've been watching me for that long? That's so crazy, because I genuinely love what I do. So I think there's a difference between people who, are late to the party and they understand who athletes are in terms of their elite level. It's too late. Sometimes you got to grow with the athlete as well. So there's that form of recruiting, right? And then there's also the recruiting that's like, I see your value in the marketplace. I think that you would be great for this brand, or I think you would be great for this brand of basketball, meaning whatever school you're choosing, because your schools you're choosing are brands of basketball as well, the coaches. How can your personality, your personal brand, if you've been a part of Overtime, you're going into college with an audience, how are you meshing with that brand? Whether that's
Right.
Kim Mulkey, right? Whether it's Gino Oriema, those are brands in itself in terms of a coach. Then the UConn program is a brand in itself. And so how are you fitting in an additive to that? And you see that with like AZ Fudd and Paige and how they really mesh, because one, they had the two Minnesota stories, right? Origin stories separate. They tore their ACLs, they came back, they overcome challenges. And Gino also respects them for their fight and for, hurting, getting being hurt and then having the resilience to continue to come back year over year despite the challenges. And then you see them, kind of living in that challenge, but that glory of like finally, we've figured out how to master that mental stress that comes along with that. So it's like all of those things become a part of your brand. You tear your ACL, you come back and again, that becomes your brand. Now you're resilient. So if I'm, coming up, if I have a brand that is talks about resilience, AZ Futter or Paige is going to be the person that I choose. So all the things that you do naturally as a person become who you are. And so recruiting has to mimic that as well. And it has to show the parents and the player that I can hold everything that you are without trying to dim your light.
Well, I think college
Right?
coaches need to understand what you just said about, because I get on and I talk to coaches and girl dads of players
Yeah.
about being able to get to know that person. They don't want to know what you do. They want to know who you are. For
Yeah.
me, when I say they want to know what coaches, you could tell me I'm a family. You could say all this stuff, but I need to know who you are. And back to what you were saying about, I need to know what your story is. Tell me,
Yeah.
what can you do with me here? And a lot of coaches hasn't evolved to that point yet. They
And you know
haven't
why they
evolved.
haven't evolved is because they're in their bubble for such a long cycle, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that they go through their recruiting window, live period, AAU tournaments, and then when you go to AAU tournaments, you look at coaches and they all have their polos on, they have their college uniform on, they eat together, they dine together, they are communal. And so when you're only around your kind all the time, and the world is evolving externally, it's hard to kind of understand and keep up with the fast-paced world of sport and business and
Yeah.
marketing and
Yeah.
all these things. And so I wish there was a way to bridge the gap. But I do see on the recruiting visits that they're actually integrating a lot of things that the kids want, which is really cool. So I see that the recruiting visits have been so much more fun and lit. They're doing like scenes and they're doing TikTok dances and they're doing all of these things that really drive the sport,
Yeah.
especially in women's sports. So I do see them trying to integrate, but I do think that college coaches sometimes get caught in their cycle. And
Yeah.
so they don't really, they see it, they have their toe, they dip their toe in the water, and they're also so exhausted because college coaching is hard, right? So they
All
need to go
year
on
round.
vacation.
No, I
It's
get
year
that.
round.
I
Yeah.
get
So
that part.
I think coaches need to go on more retreats and go more into themselves to really understand.
I think I was talking to some players and we did a real heart to heart talk. Ashley Spears and Quincy Noble were talking about some of the coaches and things that they do and how sometimes they put pressure on a lot of players, mental pressure. And they were saying that the coaches, they really don't know. So if they don't know, and it's back to what you said about being in your bubble, they don't know. And when they don't know that they're pressuring these girls and they got mental health and all of this stuff, they
Yeah.
need to educate themselves and become more desensitized. They become more sensitized to the player's plight. That's what
Yeah.
I
I
think.
think I think somebody needs to help the coaches kind of compartmentalize too, because they're doing their job to make money for the school, to recruit the best talent, to make sure teams are winning, to make sure girls are at practice, they're not getting in trouble off court, and managing their class. They're doing a lot of managing.
Yeah,
And so I do think that there needs to be another level of like you know being able to go, coaches can go to someone and say, hey, I don't know how that works because I know there literally is a 24/7 window, but I do think coaches need a break in the season, or somehow they do need something. They need some getaway. Maybe the facilities, since they're multi-million-dollar facilities, have things for coaches, and maybe they do. I haven't been on a college campus in so long.
yeah. Well, I think they might want to. My point of view, I don't know. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I think the GM role should be more tied into the players, tied into the
To the
agents,
coaches.
tied in, and yeah. But the
Yeah.
coaches can't. Like I interviewed Kelly. Kelly's an old school dude from Oregon. He's old.
Okay.
He had to evolve, and so is Mike Neighbors. So they have
Yeah.
to evolve. I
Yeah.
think the GM, when now they're hiring all these GMs, they need to hire a GM that have some of the characteristics that you just explained.
Yeah, they have to create the environment to hold all of the different assets.
Mm-hmm.
And the assets are the people, which drive business, right? So, like I said, the coaches, the head coaches, and sometimes the assistant coaches are their own brand too, right? I know Kim Mulkey's staff is well known. All of those coaches have their own little silos and
Yeah.
platforms as well. And so once that starts to become a huge thing, everybody has to exist in that space, and everybody needs their own way, their own outlet. And so you're right. They do need to focus on how is everyone doing, checking in, almost like a performance coach, but for coaches too, and just checking in and making sure they have outlets as well so that they
It's
can do well for the kids.
it's becoming so transactional now. It's a pro, so they need to treat it professionally. I say you're gonna have to treat this thing professionally now. You have to have those type of resources around you, which most of them do, but they may not want to tap into those resources. But they do have the ability to do that. This game is becoming so like I said, transactional, and they have to learn some of these players where their history, their background, what makes them
Yeah.
tick. You can't you just can't go on social media and think you know a girl and tap into her stuff and think you know a girl. So I think hopefully they'll evolve to that. And like I said, I have a lot of coaches that come on, and I've talked to them about a little bit about that. And like you said, they don't really know that. So
I think also too, just recruiting athletes that fit your personality too, that you don't have to super manage, right?
Oh, yeah.
People who you can coexist with, that make the coaching experience enjoyable. Their personalities, the way they overcome challenges, their families. Like there are really great girls and parents out there and families out there. And that's what we've done at Overtime is we've truly enjoyed every athlete and family, which makes it great because if there are things that happen that go wrong, it's just a conversation. It's not, oh, they did this to me. I apologize. We made a mistake. We'll fix it. Thank you. You know what I mean? There's no hard feelings. So I think it's a matter of who you recruit and the type of family that they come from.
Okay. So what type of impact do you want to make on Overtime in terms of your legacy? You want to, this is what I want to be known for. I already know what you, for so far, what you're known for when I interview these young ladies and your name pop up.
Honestly, I think I've already done that. Honestly, I started at OTE helping recruit, the first group of boys that launched into the new world of NIL. And then starting also the same research for Overtime Select on the girls' side. Honestly, I just want people who are chasing their dreams to have the environment that emulates what they want so that they can thrive and be their best selves, which turns into magic, which turns into amazing content, which turns into revenue and legacy and all those things that people can basically live in their second life, after becoming an athlete. When you take the audience with you, you can have it with you always. You can monetize it and you can, fuel your purpose, your true purpose. So I'm really here to just create systems and process and transformative experiences that last a lifetime. And I'm doing that, with a great partner in Overtime. And it's been magical. Everything I've done at Overtime has made history. Has been the first of something, we've blown things out of the water, the best metrics. And so I'm just blessed that they believed in me and allowed me to, recruit and scout, our amazing talent, which is our precious cargo. And it's been awesome to connect with families. And, I get the Auntie Shea, look what happened. I
That's
get
what what's her name called you. Oh, Olivia Edwards called you. Big O.
Yep.
The real Big O.
I feel like there's so many big O's, but yes.
So she's like, yo, yeah, coach, that's my girl. So I love what you guys stand for. And like I said, when I was down in Atlanta and experienced it, it was like, man, this is us. I feel so comfortable here.
And your joy when you were there, you were really joyful. You were watching all the parents just eat and talk and laugh and just be in community. And you were looking like, this is dope. And
I love basketball. I love women's basketball. I love basketball. I started on the boys' side, but I love women's basketball in every aspect. I'm going to be doing this. This is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So to be a part of it was great, and to be a part of young ladies' lives with the Girl Dad program, with the Girl Dad podcast, allows me to help some of the dads out there step over some landmines and help them through this process and help them go through this. So
how does it feel? How does it feel to finally see the world catching up with the game that you love so much, women's basketball?
She interviewing me now. Okay. No, I it feels good. It feels flattering. I'm humbled. I enjoy what I do, and it's only going to get better in terms of people once they change their way of this new way of basketball.
Yeah.
And women's basketball is such a good space now. I feel great. I feel young. It makes me feel young. I'm healthy. I'm exciting, and I love people. I love to see people do well. You know, I love seeing people do well that did the work. So I love that. So I'm glad you asked me that.
Oh, thank you.
So I tell you this, man, we're gonna land this plane, or we be talking. Is it hot in Atlanta?
No.
Oh, you got good weather today. It's
I'm
hot
also
here
not
in
in
Texas.
Atlanta. I'm in Nashville.
Oh, I've been wanting to get to Nashville. That's right. You from Nashville?
No,
where
I
you
live
lived. Your mom lives in Nashville.
No, I live in Nashville.
I thought you lived in Atlanta.
No, I work in Atlanta.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. So do me this.
Yeah.
At the end of the show, well, I got two things, but at the end of the show, I usually ask one of my guests to give the girl dads out there a nugget that'll help them during that process, doing this recruiting, all of it. Even if you're not a big time girl, give them something that you say, you know what, if I had a daughter and I went through this is what I tell that guy.
I think that as somebody who is in the industry, it goes a long way when a dad, and I've had amazing dads a part of my life, Darnell Robinson, DJ Paldo, they have truly leaned into what their daughters were doing, and that's been so helpful to drive the game forward. So like, whatever you need me to do, Shea, you need me to promote, you need me to go talk to other parents and tell them how amazing Overtime platform is, I got you. Whether they're winning, whether they're the ones being championed, whether they're the ones being promoted, they understand. So I would just say, like, whatever your daughter is participating in, just go to those operators. They need help. They need help to tell the world, especially if you believe in the product, and start to help and be a partner with them. And you never know, because they get a nod every now and then of like, talk to DJ, talk to Darnell. So yeah.
We'll talk to LC. LC, hit me, LC.
LC is like
talk to Greg Creative. I had him on the show.
Oh, Greg, all of them.
Greg Creaton. He was like, hey, Carrie, he referred you. He was like, oh yeah, you got.
First of all, LC, Darnell, and
Greg
DJ Paldo, and Greg. Well, Greg wasn't a part of their original crew. But the original crew that we talked to and did our research, they told us that this needed to exist. They said, here's why, and I'm going to give you my daughter. You have full reign to do what you need to do with her to make sure that this game pushes. So shout out to all those dads, those girl dads, who are not only their coaches, their trainers, they're everything. They really help push the brand forward.
Got you. Hey, and then we're going to land the plane. I usually do this. Hey, shut up. This is a live show. Hey, we're going to end it with all you girl dads out there. You know I'm on a PSA campaign to be able to have you go get your PSA levels checked so that the prostate cancer is heavily in the African males past. So get your PSA level checked. You want to talk about it. Mine came back a little high and I had to get some procedures. So we good now. But if you need to talk about it, I know we don't talk men as that, but get your PSA level checked. Hey, thanks a lot, Shea. Can we get together periodically? Next time I'm in Atlanta, can I drop you an email in the next show and say, can I come in and just be in the crowd?
Yeah, you just have to let me know, either Nashville or Atlanta. I'm in both.
I'm Nashville, because I've never been there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to call you and say, show me around Nashville.
Okay.
All right. So good. I'm going to end it. Thank you for coming on. It's been great. See you.
See you.